Hey there, welcome to StoryVoyage. Today we're diving into a chilling Reddit tale that will leave you questioning what goes on behind closed doors. Buckle up, because this is a story you won't want to miss. My neighbor was acting suspicious, so I started watching. What I found out was terrifying. This all started about 6 months ago, and I still get chills thinking about it. I live in a pretty quiet suburban neighborhood. You know the type: kids playing in the street, neighbors waving as they walk their dogs, and the occasional BBQ party that everyone's invited to. I've lived here for about 5 years and nothing much ever happens. That was until the new neighbor moved in. Let's call him Mr. Gray because, well, that's the only thing I knew about him. He always wore gray. Gray hoodie, gray sweatpants, gray everything. The guy just blended into the background, which is weird considering how he stood out at the same time. He moved in during the middle of the night, which I only noticed because I suffer from insomnia. No moving truck, no boxes, just him carrying a few duffel bags inside. It struck me as odd, but I figured he was just a private person. No big deal. Weeks went by and no one really saw Mr. Gray much. He never came out during the day, and when he did, it was usually late at night. I'd see him through my kitchen window, just pacing around his backyard. Sometimes he'd just stand there, staring up at the sky. It was eerie, but not terrifying yet. One night, around 3 a.m., I was up late watching TV when I heard what sounded like a loud thud coming from Mr. Gray's house. I muted the TV and listened. Another followed by what I swear were muffled cries. I immediately thought about calling the cops, but then the noise stopped. Dead silence. I told myself it was probably nothing, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The next day, I decided to casually ask a couple of other neighbors if they'd noticed anything strange. Surprisingly, no one else had seen or heard anything odd. One of them didn't even know anyone had moved in. That's when I realized just how isolated Mr. Gray had kept himself. That night, I decided to keep an eye on him. It sounds creepy, I know, but I just couldn't let it go. I set up a chair near the window that had the best view of his backyard and waited. Around 2 a.m., he came out again. This time, though, he wasn't pacing, he was digging. At first, I thought maybe he was gardening. Who the hell gardens at 2 a.m.? But as the minutes passed, it became clear that this was something else. He was digging a deep hole, and whatever he was burying was wrapped in a large black garbage bag. My heart was pounding as I watched him cover it up, patting down the dirt like it was nothing. Afterward, he just went back inside, as if he hadn't just buried something in his backyard in the middle of the night. I was freaking out. What had I just witnessed? I couldn't just leave it alone. The next morning, I went outside and pretended to work on my lawn, trying to get a better look at the spot he'd been digging. From a distance, everything looked normal, but I knew better. I decided to call the police, but I didn't want to seem like a paranoid neighbor. So I made up some story about hearing strange noises and asked them to do a welfare check. They showed up later that day, knocked on his door, and after a few minutes, he let them in. They were inside for about half an hour, then came out and left, looking totally unbothered. Mr. Gray even waved at them as they left. When they were gone, he turned and stared right at me. I quickly looked away, pretending to be busy, but I could feel his eyes on me. The cops didn't find anything. I started questioning myself, had I imagined it? But no, I saw what I saw. That night, I was too freaked out to watch him again, so I tried to get some sleep. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of something scraping against my window. My heart stopped. I slowly got out of bed and peered through the blinds. There he was, Mr. Gray, standing in my backyard, staring right at my window. He wasn't moving, just standing there with that same blank expression. I froze, not knowing what to do. After what felt like an eternity, he turned and walked back to his house. The next morning, I went outside to check my yard. Nothing was out of place except for a small note stuck to my window. It simply said, "Mind your own business." I decided right then and there to stop watching Mr. Gray. Whatever he was up to, I didn't want to know anymore. A few weeks later, I noticed a "for rent" sign in front of his house. Just like that, he was gone, as mysteriously as he had arrived. To this day, I don't know what he was burying, and honestly, I don't want to. But every now and then, I still hear noises late at night, and I can't help but wonder, did Mr. Gray really leave? Or is he just waiting for someone else to start watching? Thanks for all the advice, everyone. I've moved since then, and things have been quiet. I still think about Mr. Gray from time to time, though. It's hard not to. Thanks for joining me on this eerie journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another tale. Until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know what's lurking in the shadows.